that was something that you could read as your independent reading time. Thank you guys for your flexibility. I know that normally this wouldn't be. Band-Aids would be in the cabinet, the through blue suit cabinet. All of the scholars will learn to read. We were at the park. We read for an hour. When will you do your homework? Your backpack is on the floor. Can you put it in the bin? We use the computer to learn. There are 26 scholars in the class. Mrs. D said to sit down. An elephant is very big. Each kid gets one snack. Okay. So we are starting a new story today. Our new story is called The Haunting of Holt Mansion. It's a fiction story, so as a fiction story, it's going to have characters and a problem introduced relatively early in the story. This story is summarized on the back, and so it says, strange noises and weird lights are coming from Holt Mansion. Hannah is terrified. So Annie sets out to prove that there is no such thing as a haunted house. So, some of the words in chapter 1 are going to be here. I want you to start by reading the words independently and see if you can decode them all, because fluent readers start with good accuracy, and then you'll take 30 seconds to read them as fast as you can read them. Extras can go in the middle. One for Robert. Robert, can you find the spot in the circle button? Okay, start by trying to make sure that you know all those words. It is scared. If it was scarred, it's going to have a double R, so this is scared. 30 seconds. Let's see how many times you can read it on your mark. Get set, go. So all together, ready, set, go. Mystery, stopped, wired, owned, volleyball, Keisha, scared. With the E-I, we're going to go with the long E sound, Keisha. Okay? Those words are now in our phrases. Take them, pass it around. So we're going to use these words now, and we're going to build them into phrases. We've talked about how by reading in phrases, we're actually making units of understanding, plus it sounds a lot more fluent when we read them. For our phrases, we're going to choral read them. On your mark, get set, go. Mystery Book Club, stopped coming to Wired, owned by Michael's parents, after volleyball practice, Keisha sent Annie, run that fast, looked really scared. Whisper, read twice. As you flip to your sentences, you notice that 3 of our sentences really aren't that long. We should be able to take those in just a few phrasing chunks. These middle 2 sentences, though, they're pretty long. So as I model those, I'm going to really emphasize where my phrasing is. Make sure that you mimic that same phrasing in yours. We're going to echo read. The Ravens were a mystery book club.
The Ravens were a mystery book club.
She had also stopped coming to Wired, the internet cafe owned by Michael's parents.
Also stopped coming to Wired, the internet cafe owned by Michael's parents.
And notice that comma here is a good signal that that's a good end of a phrase, so you can pause just a little there. Okay, next one also has a comma, so look at that as I read aloud. That evening, after volleyball practice, Keisha sent Annie a text message.
That evening, after volleyball practice, Keisha sent Annie a text message.
I've never seen her run that fast.
I've never seen her run that fast.
She looked really scared.
She looked really scared.
Awesome. Now all together, ready, set, go. The Ravens were a mystery book club. She had also stopped coming to Wired, the internet cafe owned by Michael's parents. That evening, after volleyball practice, Keisha sent Annie a text message. "I've never seen her run that fast. She looked really scared." Now, because we're starting a new chapter, chances are good the very beginning is going to do a lot to introduce characters. That isn't necessarily a time on our rubric where we're going to get super exciting with our expression. Maybe by the end of the chapter we might know our problem and the expression might bump up. What we're really going to work on today is the phrasing section. And for today we're really going to look at that 3.0 level, where it talks about I can read the words in meaning chunks, just like we took them in meaning chunks with our phrases. We are going to really look at punctuation in order to help us to know where to pause. The difference between a 3 and a 4 is that going beyond just the punctuation is the 4, looking for those prepositions and looking for other places where we can chunk them into phrases so that we're building those meaning chunks. Today I'm going to model for you reading with good phrasing so that we can hear those meaning chunks. When you have your book, go ahead and open up to page 1. So, first thing I want to look at is the chapter title because that gives me a clue about what this chapter is going to be. It's called What's Wrong with Hannah? So already I'm starting to think problem and characters. As I read, listen for how I use the punctuation to help you with my phrasing. "You can't leave the meeting yet," Annie said to Hannah. "Annie, relax," Michael said. He was one of Annie's best friends. They had known each other since they were very young. "But she leaves early all the time," Annie said. She looked down at the floor. Annie knew that she should listen to Michael. Michael cared about Raven meetings too. He was just very calm about it. What is some of the punctuation that I used to help you with my phrasing? So that would be word chunks, and that would be helping with my decoding. Punctuation is things like commas, exclamation marks, periods, those types of things. Can you find a spot in the story where I paused because of punctuation? Grace? Right, because at the end of quotation marks, there tends to be punctuation there, whether it's an exclamation point or a comma. So using those punctuation marks to do my phrasing. Alexis?
But she leaves notes all the time.
Right. And so again, when I had that phrase, that talking phrase in quotation marks, I know that I'm going to take that as a phrase unit to help me so I'm not reading word by word, but I'm really looking at phrase units. Elijah, one more. Annie. So even right here, Annie, comma, relax. He's dragging out that word. Annie, relax. Using that to help me with my phrasing. We're going to choral read page 1, and I want you to pay close attention to that punctuation to know where does your phrasing go. On your mark, get set, go. "You can't leave the meeting yet," Annie said to Hannah. "Annie, relax," Michael said. He was one of Annie's best friends. They had known each other since they were very young. "But she leaves early all the time," Annie said. She looked down at the floor. Annie knew that she should listen to Michael. Michael cared about Raven's meetings too. He was just very calm about it. Okay? So, as we read, continue to pay attention to the characters. There's a lot of characters. And continue to think about how you can get that 3 with your phrasing using punctuation to help. Go ahead and start with Scurvy. don't really make a lot of sense. But down here, it talked about this character cared about ravens and things too. He was just very calm about it. It would be an M name that's a he. Instead of saying sh, make it say k. CH can say ch or k. So this right here is Michael. And it's going to come up a lot, so we want to make sure that we know who that is. So far we have Anna, Annie, and Matt. Can you go back and reread this page?
Michael said he was one of Annie's best friends. They had known each other since they were very young, but she confused Julie all the time. Annie said she looked down at her. Annie knew
So, we know that it's the beginning of a chapter, and since it's the beginning of a chapter, it's really important that we focus on characters and possibly the problem. Who are our main characters in the chapter so far? Elisha. Annie and who? Annie and Hannah. So, who is the main character that we're following throughout most of this? Who's kind of telling our story? Jason? Keisha is involved. She's one of the characters, and she is a main character, but she's not necessarily the one who's telling it. Annie. So Annie is kind of going to be our middle lady. Annie has lots of different relationships with these different characters. Who are some of the different characters that she has relationships with within this story? Grace. She has Michael. Her and Michael have a pairing where Michael tends to support Annie and agree with Annie. Keisha. Keisha is another friend. Keisha's very busy in this one, so while she is an important character, she's not as important as Annie is. And who is the other character that we're following who's kind of stirring up the problem? Hannah is the one who's not coming to the meetings, or she's leaving early from the meetings. So it's important that we keep track of these character names, because that's a lot of characters to be introduced in the beginning. Right now, this is the relationship that we're focusing the most on, because Annie is upset that Hannah continues to leave early from her meetings. By looking at the character relationships, we have now figured out who are our main characters and the problem that we're going to be working on, so that we can comprehend our story as well. Do you have a question, ladies? Just sorting out the characters. It takes me a while to sort out the characters. That's right. And Hannah's that one who we're trying to figure out what's going on with Hannah. Why is she leaving early? Why is she running so fast? Okay. Now that we've read accurately, and we've read for fluency with phrasing, it's always a good idea to come back and read for expression, because with rereading, we can improve our fluency each time. Can you open up to page 7, please? Okay. Notice we have several punctuation to help us with our phrasing, but also some punctuation that can help us with our expression. What is that most important expression mark, do you think, that's going to let you to know to read with some pizzazz here? Danny? Would you right now point to where there's some exclamation marks in the story so that you are prepared for those when we get to those? I count 4. Do you guys count 4? As I read, see if you can find them. See if you can find them while I read, because I will model for you that expression. Read in your head while I read aloud. Really? Annie asked. It was like she didn't see me. She was running, Keisha said. That's strange, Annie said. I called to her, but she didn't hear me, Keisha said. Wow, said Annie. Or Annie said. Keisha said, I've never seen her run that fast. She looked like she was really scared. See if you can build the same emotion in your voice as you read. Said, really? Annie asked. It was like she didn't see me. She was running, Keisha said. That is strange, Annie said. I called to her, but she didn't hear me, Keisha said. Wow, Annie said. Keisha said, I've never seen her run that fast. She looked really scared. Yeah, and that does kind of interrupt our flow when we read out loud. When you read it in your head, you probably are mostly focusing just on the meaning chunks, those phrases of what they actually say out loud. But because we're practicing reading out loud together, we have to say who said what. So we have our characters, we have our problem. Our next chapter is called The Truth. So we're going to figure out what is the truth right now, or why they're running. We're going to finish up today with our words. See if you can beat the word before it turns black on my screen.
Before
Before it goes away. I try to beat it before it turns black.
Last night I made it and I missed.
Ready, friends? Okay. Whoops, I'm hoping if I didn't wiggle my mouse. Must. Round. Do. Want.